Hey everyone, I know it's been a long while since I've uploaded any type of video to this channel, and it has been to do with being censored by the powers that be. But I feel that today is one of the days that I start doing this. What I'm going to do over the next, I'm going to do a quick series here, probably 10, 11 episodes long, however long that the videos allow me or allow me to stay up, provided I'm still alive to finish this. But the United States is in great danger. A little bit of background: I was a Marine sniper. I been inside this beltway, been inside this gateway, been inside this intelligent network. They more or less paid me to find people and showed me how to find people like the people. And it's the same guys that I'm about to identify to you. The United States is in grave danger of being toppled and turning into a fascist socialist nation if it isn't already. It may be too late to even stop this. But at least at some point I want to know that that I did not Jeffrey Epstein myself. I want to at least get the information out there to whoever, because I would not be surprised that once these names, if this starts going viral, that people will come after me. But they already are, and I'll get into maybe later what the Canadian government. No, I'm not in Canada. I'll get maybe in later what the Canadian government's trying to do to me. And no, like I said, I'm not in Canada. I'm in the United States. So what are Canadian operatives doing here in the United States? Good question. And why are they targeting American civilians? I'm still wanting to figure that out myself. And I'll get into that later maybe. But first I want to go over who I believe is the top 100 most dangerous individuals in the United States. Now all of these are American citizens, or in theory they are. They're either within their political connections, actors. I mean, people who, some people you may not. There's going to be named. I'll go over who these people are, maybe what position they hold. Some of these names you may not have known, but here what I'm doing today is I'm just doing the first 10, 100 through number 91. And like I said, these are the 100 most dangerous individuals in the United States. Some of these names will surprise you, but I'll give you reasons as to why they're here and what charges, what crimes they've committed, what they should be charged with and prosecuted for. But we'll get into that. So like I said, you may not know some of these names. Some of these you absolutely will know who these people are. Like way up high on the list, number 6 is Bill Gates. Everyone knows who Bill Gates is. Well, why is he number 6? Why is he not number 1? He's obviously a very dangerous individual, and I'll get into a lot of his crimes in later episodes. But the first name in the number 100, who holds the number 100 most dangerous person on the list, is Tom Vilsack. Now, most of you may not know who that is. Tom Vilsack is currently the Secretary of the Department of Agriculture in the Biden administration. Think about it this way for what the Secretary of Agriculture controls. He's obviously going to control a lot of the food supplies. Like, he's going to definitely be investigated in the food regulations along with the FDA. I don't know off the top of my head if the FDA is under the Department of Agriculture, although Food and Drug Administration, it would make perfect sense that if it was. I really don't know off the top of my head. I do know that most of the labs, though, are under the Department of Energy. But under the Department of Agriculture, that's going to cover like the Division of Wildlife, a lot of the farm bureaus. Tom Vilsack is the cabinet member who holds that position for the Department of Agriculture. Remember a little bit ago how Bill Gates, who's like I said, is a very dangerous individual himself, was buying up all the farmland in North Dakota? Yeah. Who do you think would have had to sign off on that money driver purchase? Tom Vilsack. Who is the one who would have had to sign off on it on the Chinese company, the Chinese Communist Party connected company, buying all the farmland in Texas, Utah, and Oklahoma? Tom Vilsack would have had to do that. It would have had to have been his signature. The only other one who could have done it was Biden, although I think Biden probably signed that piece of document as well. But we know he signed it because the document, the contracts are public record and can be viewed with a request to the National Archives and the Library of Congress. It's very easy. I was actually able to get my hands on a couple of these contracts and what they detail and what they say. So he controls the food. I mean, he has the ability to determine it was his regulations that, quote unquote, that quote unquote, well, like they were misdiagnosed, but diagnosed all the like 4 million chickens with bird flu. Well, that's not what their veterinary autopsy showed. So why were these chickens killed? Why were these hen-laying chickens killed? Tom Vilsack's department, that policy, he made the policy, they enforced it. Next thing you know, there's an egg shortage. Next thing you know, the beef prices are going up. Why? Because there's a beef shortage, because mad cow disease magically made another appearance, which there hasn't been a case of that since 2002, and there still isn't a documented one since. So why are cows all of a sudden being killed for mad cow disease when the disease isn't even around right now? Good question. Who signed off on that? Tom Vilsack signed off on that. So that's caused a lot of problems when it's come to the inflation side, and we'll get into the financial side later of this, especially when we talk about Janet Yellen, but who is way higher on this list than of the most dangerous individuals in the United States than Tom Vilsack. But him obviously having control of the food supply and being able to manipulate the number of cattle going into this, the number of gallons of milk a day going into this. It's just inflated prices like crazy, making it harder on you and me. But here's another interesting thing. After the Bill Gates deal and the Chinese Communist Party deal that was taken care of by the Department of Agriculture, his net worth nearly doubled overnight. Anyone else think that sounds like a bribe to me? If not a bribe, he's definitely working for them. But either way, him having done that he is directly connected to the Chinese Communist Party. But then again, pretty much every Obama, not to say it, Biden lackey is definitely connected to the Chinese Communist Party in some way. So he's got multiple charges. You could charge this guy with treason. You could charge him you could charge this guy with treason overnight, and it would easily stick in a court of law. So it would easily stick, not to mention accepting bribes and a few other things. He also has multiple connections through Braemar Holdings, which actually is a shell company, and those are all legal as hell. So he's definitely connected to the Chinese Communist Party, and it's all public record. It's an easy search. So that covers who Tom Vilsack is, what he is, and that's kind of the theme of this, is to make this known to who these people are and what's going on. And so I'll go to number 99. So next on the list of the most dangerous individuals in the United States, number 99. Everyone should know who this guy is, William Barr. William Barr is the former Attorney General of the United States under the current president, Donald Trump. No, Biden is not the current president. He did not win the election, and I'm going to go further into this list. You'll see the pattern that I see too, but as to prove why he doesn't. He's definitely connected within the Department of Justice, obviously. He's been the Attorney General twice. He's a deep state member. There's no way around it. He absolutely blatantly interfered with the 2020 election results. Possible connections. There's also in there rumors that I've heard. I can't prove this. I can't deny. I can't find enough evidence to disprove this either. But there's a bunch of rumors in there that he may have been behind the Nashville bombing that blew up all the voting machines and all the evidence. Shortly after the Nashville Christmas bombing happened, he resigned. One, not only did he resign, two, he also went public and said there is no evidence of any type of tampering or any type of election interference. Well, that's convenient considering all the evidence blew up. So he wouldn't have said that unless he knew that was the case. He's not a dumb individual. He's not a dumb individual at all. He knew directly what the AT&T contract said with that. It's undisputable that this man is a very dangerous individual. I can't connect him directly to the Nashville bombings, but I think he knew about it prior to advance. There's also some people that I know inside the government where I work that assume that he may have even been the mastermind behind it. We don't know. We can't prove it. It is what it is. But just know that those rumors are out there, and there is a little bit of evidence to support the fact that he may have been involved, at least in the planning stages of that, to get rid of the evidence. He definitely was involved in the PR side of it. is he also, that being said, afterwards, when he testified about it, he did lie to Congress in the process of that. We know this for a fact at this point. So interesting how attorney generals, he had Eric Holder and Will Barr. He had Will Barr and Merrick Garland have all, Merrick Garland's way up on the list too, have last three real attorney generals of the United States that we've had have all lied under oath in Congress. Something's going on in the department. I think we can all see what's going on with the FBI and them wanting to target people like me just because I voted for Trump. Just because there's definitely something really, really broken in the Department of Justice. He's also the lowest Department of Justice individual on this list, and there's a lot of them. So, but that's what he directly interfered with that. He may have had connections with the Nashville bombing. We really don't know yet, but still looking. Investigations are fluid, and who knows? He may end up higher on this list at some point. So I'll get through William Barr. That covers William Barr. Number 98. Most of you may not know who this guy is. George Kaiser. George Kaiser. Like I said, most of you may not know who he is. George Kaiser is the BOK Financial Corp CEO. And they're based in Tulsa, Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. He's heavily invested in oil. On paper, when you actually look at his resume, his charities, this guy, if he wasn't doing shady dealings in the background, probably would be a Medal of Freedom recipient. So he's done some really good things to try and hide this, to where the Wikipedia pages, the encyclopedia, Wikipedia, Screwopedia, whatever, a lot of the research pages, a lot of the research papers and the philanthropy papers will paint this guy like one of the best model citizens of the United States, rags to riches story, because he has one. He's done multiple TED Talks. So, but if you dig deeper, you find something a little bit more interesting about Mr. Kaiser. And this is what drew my attention when I was researching some of these names. And it came me across this guy, and I was like, wait, George Kaiser's like a multi-billionaire, runs a financial corp, and looks like someone who's going to receive the Medal of Freedom here before long. Why is he popping up in this? George Kaiser gets his name from Solyndra. Now, for most of you who don't know, Solyndra was a green energy company that went belly up under the Obama administration after they stimulus billed it. But they still haven't found the money. Well, where did it go? As famous Dan Bongino would say, follow the money. He wrote a whole book about following the money. So let's follow the money a little bit, and we learn a little bit more about Mr. Kaiser than we probably should. When Solyndra collapsed, George Kaiser was the primary stakeholder in the Solyndra company. He instantly caused, which was what Solyndra was doing, had to do with copper. What he was doing there instantly caused the copper prices to skyrocket. And and most everyone knows the fallout of that during the Obama administration. How many houses and how many of this and how many of that were getting broken into to have the copper pipes ripped out of the walls? How many junkyards were broken into to get the copper? Yeah, this is the guy that caused that crime spree. Maybe that was probably an indirect result of what he was doing with Solyndra, buying up all the copper, driving the stock price of copper so freaking high. It still really hasn't come down. He controls most of the copper supply. Guess what's also in copper? Made of copper. Bullets. He's making killing off the gun market right now because of his investments in copper. And he got that idea when he drove the prices up in Solyndra, who was using copper-based materials to build the solar panels. Obviously, that failed miserably. But here's the interesting thing. But here's the thing. Solyndra, him being the primary stakeholder, Solyndra before it failed under the Obama stimulus plan, got $520 million. Guess where $319 million went? Straight into George Kaiser's pocket. When Solyndra went bankrupt, less than a year later, he was able to take that $319 million that he received from the stimulus package, and basically was able to declare that as a loss on his next year's return, meaning he was never taxed. It was free money. No one knew where it went. That sounds illegal to me. It's because it is illegal. That's definitely illegal. You can't use taxpayer dollars like that. You just can't. There's all sorts of tax fraud, tax code violations that go with that. But the question is where did the money go? Well, like I said, it went into copper, driving the price further up. He bought most of the copper supplies, which is allowing him to control a lot of the ammo supply that's currently out there. What's going on in Ukraine right now? They're using a lot of copper bullets, aren't they? FMJs? Yep. Guess who's making $1 million? Oh, look what's happening in Ukraine right now, and Israel right now. What's going on with the copper? The copper price still going up. He's making bank off it. Oh, it gets better with him. He also sits on the World Economic Forum Board and is a staunch supporter of the central bank digital currencies, and is also helping build the model for 15-minute cities. I think that's all that really needs to be said about this guy. He's a communist traitor to the United States. Not to mention a tax cheat. Obviously, with the copper, it's clearly racketeering and government embezzlement. You can't do what he did and not be held accountable at some point. But that's who George Kaiser is. Like I said, most of you may not have known who that was. But think Solyndra and what he did to the copper prices and what he's continuing to do to the ammo prices. He's controlling it. If he decides to shut the copper supply off tomorrow, which he could, it would cost him millions, but he could, there's no more bullets. But he's making bank right now based on the Ukraine and Israeli war and soon to be Chinese invasion of Taiwan. But yeah, that's going to happen, China. That's going to happen, Taiwan. So if you're not paying attention, you should be. All right, next on the list, number 97, Vice President Mike Pence. I say Vice President Mike Pence is, we all know, Biden did not win the 2020 election. That makes Vice Pence the duly elected Vice President of the United States. But this guy came out of nowhere on us. He's like literally like Benedict Arnold. He's certified. What more do you need? The guy certified the Electoral College, even though it was blatantly fraudulent. Come on, really? He sold out President Trump with all his diaries, and if there's anyone that is responsible for January 6th, it's Mike Pence. Period. If there's anyone that's responsible, it's not the media, not all the lies the media told that was on. Not to mention, like I said, all the lies he told the media when he was on the board for Operation Warp Speed when it comes to the COVID vaccine. Or my bad, the COVID poison. The clot shot, as a lot of us call it now. He's absolutely a traitor to the United States. He sold out. He sold us all out. He sold us down the river. I don't know how much he made from this, but you blatantly certified a fraudulent electoral college. Blatantly. I mean, talk about violating your oath to the Constitution. You knew it was fraudulent. You still know it's fraudulent, and yet you're going to federal court and lying about your boss in open court. And we know you're lying. And you know that we know that you're lying. And we know that you know that we know that you know you're lying. And so on and so forth. But nobody seems to care. Mike Pence, what scares me about Mike Pence, he may honestly end up way higher on the list. Because why he's here right now, this low, is because like I said, he came out of nowhere. What don't we know that this guy did or didn't do? We don't know yet. More to come with him. But Mike Pence is definitely one of the most dangerous individuals, one of the gravest threats the United States has ever seen. No questions about it. Moving on. Number 96. Ernest Moniz, if I pronounced his name wrong. Who is Ernest Moniz? He is the former Secretary of Energy under the Obama administration. Like pretty much every Obama lackey, I can almost say this, at some point you're going to have every Biden and every Obama cabinet member on this list. It's a 100% certainty. I promise you they're all there. Well, who is this guy? Since most of you may not know who he is, he's an Obama administration. Obviously, he's the Secretary of Energy for Obama. He's a nuclear physicist. He was also the Undersecretary of Energy for Bill Clinton. He's currently the co-chair of the Nuclear Threat Initiative. Now, so this guy is a brilliant man. He's a nuclear physicist. He's a research scientist, just outright, full-on, probably one of the smartest people on the planet. But, unfortunately for him, so am I. My IQ is actually 5 points higher than his. So, we'll go on, but that's a different story for a different day. He is currently the co-chair of the Nuclear Threat Initiative. Okay, so now what is the NTI, the Nuclear Threat Initiative? Think Uranium One scandal. The uranium had to come from somewhere. Who better to have access to it than the Secretary of Energy, who happened to be a nuclear physicist? You know, why not? The uranium had to come from somewhere, and this just stands out. Here's another thing that stands out. He serves on the board for the King Abdullah Petroleum Studio, the King Abdullah Petroleum Studies and Research Center. Who are they owned by? Oh, they're owned by OPEC, because there's nothing. Yeah, because there's nothing shady going on with OPEC, is there? Considering the Islamic terrorists, because the Islamic terrorists and the CCP, don't have their hands in that pot either. Yeah, they sure don't. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. This guy directly was direct involvement with the Iran deal and providing known terrorists with nuclear weapons. What more grave threat that can you be? He's a traitor to the United States. There's no way around it. With that point, here's the real kicker. Unlike a lot of the other people on this list, Eric Moniz actually believes he's doing the right thing. That makes him an incredibly dangerous individual because he believes it. He believes it. And if he's a true believer that he's doing the right thing, he's willing to die and kill for that. Makes him a very dangerous individual. So that's Ernest Moniz. He's a very brilliant man. Problem is he thinks he's doing the right thing, and he's just screwing all of us over. What more can I say? All right, number 95. Kristen Clark. Most of you don't know who this is, so I'm going to have to explain who this woman is. Kristen Clark is currently in the United States Department of Justice. She runs the Civil Rights Division at the Department of Justice. So her specific job, although Garland, who is number one, is the most dangerous individual on this list, is her boss, her main job, her only real job in the Department of Justice is to ensure the rights of the accused are not violated. It is her part of the department that hears those cases when my constitutional rights have been violated. Those are the cases that go to court with this person. She heads that division. She's doing a bang-up job in regards to the January 6th political prisoners, guys, isn't she? It's what she's not doing in that case. It's her division that should be hearing their cases for mistreatment in the justice system. They're not doing it. A little interesting how that plays out, right? Here's some other beautiful gems about this woman. She served in the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund. When you read up on what that is, the virtue signaling of what they do will make you sick. Not only it's a con job what she does there. She's working people over for more or less her own personal gain. She's an outright pee-pee hoaxer. She's a defund the police advocate, an advocate for she's an advocate for that disgusting voting rights bill that the House the House of Representatives tried to get through a while back before the Republicans took back over. Fortunately, the Supreme Court stopped it, which kind of stood out as a little weird because considering it definitely affected them and would have given them more power, but they said no, more or less. She is also this woman is directly responsible for the LGBTQ initiative infiltrating the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts. Shortly after that, she is the one who filed the suit and won the suit that ended their ban on hiring openly gay, trans, whatever. All that disgusting mental disorder crap. The LGBT, the alphabet people, mental disorder crap. She's the one that got that pushed through and banned. Shortly after that, guess what happened? The Boy Scout sex scandal. Oh, that's an interesting coincidental timing, isn't it? This woman is an LGBTQ advocate. Come on. What more do you need? Her inability to do her job in fighting for the LGBTQ. Now, I'm all for human rights. I'm all for people having, the right to be accepted on their own. But this woman is directly responsible for a lot of it being forced down our kids' throat and upon our kids. She firmly believes that drag queen shows to little kids are acceptable. That makes her a pedophile. That's straight up, that's what makes it. If she thinks that's acceptable, she's outright a pedophile. That's all that really needs to be said. If you're a pedophile, you don't need to be here. Get out, go to hell. We'll see you on the other side one day. Hopefully you get clean. Hopefully this woman, when it's everyone's time, when the day of judgment comes, she's burning in the ninth circle of hell. Just absolutely disgusting individual. All right, number 94, Clarence Nagin. That name should sound familiar to everyone who was alive during the Katrina times, but a lot of the people here today may have been born. If you're born in 2000, you're too young to remember the Hurricane Katrina. Maybe itsy bitsy, because you would have been about, 4 or 5 at the time that storm is. So Clarence Nagin, also known as Ray Nagin, he is the former mayor of New Orleans. Now what he did, and now some of this he paid the price for, is he did go to prison for corruption, but he is out now. What he was ordering the National Guard and some of the guardsmen to do were outright violations of the Second and Third Amendment of the Constitution. Yes, third, as in quartering of soldiers in New Orleans and Katrina. This is the guy that did that. This is the guy that made that happen to you. If anyone's in New Orleans and was alive that time, and you had soldiers that were quartered in your house, this is the guy. This is the guy that did it. Oh, he's also the mastermind of the FEMA camps. So guess what? That's the CRN Initiatives LLC, which he founded the CRN Initiatives LLC, which focused on the preparedness and green energies in the case of natural disasters. On paper, that's what it is, but what it really was the start of the creation of the FEMA camps. The concentration camps that are coming to a corner near you. Ask the January 6th guys. They're in them. They're in a FEMA camp right now, more or less. They're political prisoners in a concentration camp inside the United States, and we don't know where it is. Sorry about that, but kind of got a little bit cut off there on my recording. But yeah, Ray Nagin is the CRN Initiatives LLC. Those are more or less, that was the birth of the FEMA camps. He's the guy that made that happen. Now, granted, he was convicted of multiple corruption charges in 2020. Well, in 2011, he served 10 years in prison. And during the whole COVID crap lockdown, he got out of prison and went right back to planning in the CRN initiative. This guy is active. He's out there. And he's very dangerous because he is figuring out how to put people like me in concentration camps. That's all that really needs to be said about Ray Nagin. Also, he's a blatant racist. Think about it. New Orleans should be more like a chocolate factory. And if you watch that whole speech, it was racist as hell. He don't like white people. That's fine by me. I don't like him. So, Australia used his idea to put people in COVID camps. So he's definitely responsible there, at least in some level, for committing genocide. All right. Now, this one's going to piss a lot of people off and may open me up to lawsuits, but Discovery would be great on this. Believe me, I would welcome it in a way. Number 93, and everyone knows who this person is, Taylor Swift. Yeah, that Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is the 93rd most dangerous individual in the United States. She's idolized by many. She's an American pop star icon who's got her names in the hands of literally thousands of really good nonprofit charities that actually do really good. But there's one that stands out that raised my initiative. When I was researching some of this list, her name came up in a single one that made me scratch my head and do a little bit of research about this. And what I found was disgusting. That she absolutely belongs on this list. And I would argue that she's directly funding terrorism. And I'll get to that here in just a second. All right. Taylor Swift donates to a lot of very charitable, great organizations. She also donates to one of these, and this raises a red flag, the UNICEF TAP project. Now, what it is, the idea of that is to more or less provide, on paper, provide clean water, drinking water to the world. At least that's what the official story is, and that's what we're going to go with at the moment. Here's the problem with the UNICEF TAP project. It's funded and run by the World Economic Forum. Not only that, she has publicly admitted that she knows this and still continues to donate millions to this charity. The UNICEF TAP project is nothing more than how do we provide water to the 15-minute cities. She is, more or less, that's who's funding that research. Taylor Swift is funding the research to how they're going to get water to all of us in these 15-minute cities. And she knows she's doing it. That doesn't make her dumb. That makes her dangerous. Sorry, Swifties. I'm going to get a lot of hate for that one. But this is all public knowledge. It's on the UNICEF TAP project website as to what they do. And that interview where she admitted that, it's also out there. You can actually YouTube it. She's directly funding part of the 2030 agenda. Hate to break it to you. And she knows it. She's admitted she knows that this is happening. And that's what her money is being used for. She continues to fund them. That doesn't make her dumb. It makes her dangerous. It makes her a very dangerous individual. And think about all the millions of people that idolize her. They're going to start donating to stuff like this too. Giving them more money to put you in Ray Nagin's FEMA camps in 15-minute cities. If you're going to take down the Leviathan, you got to take off its legs first. Sorry, Swifties. Taylor Swift is not an individual you should be associating with or idolizing. She's a very dangerous individual. Now move on. Number 92. Every conservative knows this name. Timothy Geithner. Timothy Geithner is the former Secretary of the Treasury under the Obama administration. He's a tax cheat. He's a tax cheat who worked directly for the IMF. That's the International Monetary Fund. That's got World Economic Forum written all over it, especially when it comes to the money and how it's being handled by BlackRock. And I'll get to Lawrence Fink later. This guy had literally, once the stimulus bills were done, this guy had 100% control of who got the money in the bailouts. It went through the Department of Treasury because that's where the money comes from in the United States, the Department of Treasury. He determined who got what and when and how much. Whether it be the $520 billion that went to Solyndra that went right to George Kaiser. This guy did that. He's the one that made that happen for them. I don't know where that money is now, but that was just one of hundreds of billions of dollars that went out. That was 520 of less than 1% That was about 1% of the $890 billion that went out in that disaster. That just really ultimately is what crushed the housing market back in 2008. But the Democrats won't tell you that. They'll say it was Bush's fault, but no. He oversaw the government takeover of General Motors, Chrysler, all that, especially during the bailout, and how Obama, for whatever reason now, has the controlling stake in all of them. Well, yeah, because that's not shady. How does the president, who can't do anything like that while he's in office, become the owner of something like that while he's in office? Now you know. It was funded by his own government, his own people, Timothy Geithner. He personally pocketed $10 million from this. He ensured that at least $10 million was his cut that went to him. He took that directly from the Department of Treasury. That's out there. He also oversaw the takeover of the 2020 of over 200 banks. AIG, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. Yeah, he's actually the one that owns them now. How'd that happen? Isn't he not? He's the Department of Treasury. He's the Secretary of Treasury. He can't own this stuff. But yet, he magically still does. And no one's actually reached out and looked at the Sherman Antitrust Act and was like, that looks a little fishy. He may have personally pocketed $10 million off the deal, but how much has he really made off the deal? Somewhere around $104 million. And that's just what we know about. He is, no questions asked, on the payroll for the World Economic Forum. No questions asked on the payroll for George Soros. No questions asked, he is on the payroll for the Chinese Communist Party. These are indisputable, these are incontrovertible and indisputable facts. This is not a guy. He also is currently where he sits. He currently sits on the board for he runs Warburg Pincus. It's a global private equity term sponsored by and supported by and owned by, get it, funded by BlackRock. Oh my God, the World Economic Forum stuff just keeps popping up with this guy. No matter how much you dig, it's World Economic Forum. He's also on George Soros' payroll. I mean, the racketeering charges alone that this guy is guilty of, just the jury, just the pretrial confinement for each hearing for each of these charges, he'd die in prison. That's just the racketeering. That's not the tax charges for obviously not filing for the $10 million that he claimed because he ran the IRS. He didn't have to do shit. Yeah. He's a very, very dirty and dangerous individual. Him being where he's at, he has direct control of a lot of the money flowing into the World Economic Forum, the George Soros stuff. He's connected with all of it. He's one of the money guys. And the money guys are very dangerous. All right, last one on the list for today, number 91. Most of you may not know who this is either. A lot of conservative, but you'll know what he did. Arne Duncan. Arne Duncan was, most of you, if you're a basketball fan, you know who Arne Duncan is. He was in the NBA back in the day. Played a hell of a game. Wasn't a bad player, not even in college. But what he's most known for is he is an Obama lackey. He's an Obama he was Obama's Secretary of Education. Where do you think Common Core came from? Arne Duncan. This is the architect of Common Core, the dumbing down of America. Now, granted, and I'll get to former President George Bush later as to how dangerous that guy is, because he's I think he's like number 42 or number 43 on that. 43 on the most dangerous individuals in the United States. Former President George W. Bush Jr. I fuck the letters. I don't know him. No Child Left Behind allowed for Common Core. Common Core was his expansion of it, and we know what that is. He is currently what he does now. So Common Core, obviously, we know how bad that was and is, and what it has done now factor in the COVID stuff. The COVID plus Common Core was a perfect tool for these people to brainwash our kids. This is the architect of Common Core. But it's not about what he did. It's what he's currently doing is what really concerns me. Yes, he may have done that, and we see through it. Common Core really isn't done much anymore. Why? Because we see through it in the crap that it is. But it's what he's doing now is what makes him a real problem. He currently is the managing partner for a company called the Emerson Collective. What is the Emerson Collective? It's a think tank. It's a political think tank. Yeah, because those are always good things, right? Funded and owned by, yep, you guessed it, BlackRock and George Soros. He's writing the education that our kids are being taught today. He's writing how we're teaching the kids to be inclusive. That's who this guy is. That's what he's not anywhere near as dangerous as the head of the current teachers union, whatever her name is. I know she's on this list somewhere. She's way up there. She's in the top 20. Whatever her name is, the head of the teachers union. I can't think of her name off the top of my head right now. I'm going to be beating my head up over it because I know she's absolutely on this list. But yeah, that's who Arne Duncan is. And so that's just a quick, brief description of what I'm going to be doing over the next few episodes. So I'm going to continue with the episodes here over the next couple days, and I'm going to go number 90 through 81 of the most dangerous individuals. And just in these people alone, you're probably starting to see a pattern. Taylor Swift will come up again later when I go over some of the stuff later about the UNICEF TAB project and why she's in there, and especially some of the players in that when we start getting into the 50. So for the moment, I'm gonna call it a night and hopefully not get sued in the process of this. But like I said, if I do get sued, they're gonna have to present this under discovery, and that's gonna be epic because the way to beat a defamation charge is to tell the truth. These people don't know how to do that in court. Anyway, I'll call it a night, guys. Thanks.